Allan is a successful entrepreneur who, within the IT consulting industry, built several multi-million-dollar businesses. And although he was living the, quote, American dream, deep inside he knew something needed to be changed. Something needed to change because he felt unfulfilled. Allan discovered that in order to live a fulfilled life, he needed to pursue his soul's purpose. So by taking charge of his destiny and following his dreams, Allan felt complete. And today he inspires individuals to live their essence and assist them to recalibrate their lives. Hello, Allan. How are you?
I am doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, I've been looking forward to this show with you, very much so. There's a quote. It reminds me of what you're all about, and I love Jung and everything, Carl Jung. And it's the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. So, with that said, can you tell us a little bit about your background and who you are? And
Sure. Yeah, it's Carl Jung probably added that it's a never-ending, never-ending passion to try to figure out who you really are and work with it. But we all have inklings, and since I was a child, I had an inkling that I was here to do something different, and I didn't know exactly what that was, but I felt that I was supposed to be working with people. I was supposed to be a leader of some kind, and I knew that I would be up on stage. I knew I would be an author. And as a matter of fact, we're on a psychic show, so a psychic, when I was young, predicted that I would be a great man. I had no idea what that meant. She just looked at my photo and said, this is going to be a great man. And knowing that on my own and then hearing that from somebody else really confused me because, well, what am I going to be great at? So maybe I'm going to be a great tennis player, which is the sport that I love the most. Maybe I'll be a great actor, which is something that I love doing. And I did both of those. Then we moved to the United States at the age of 14 in 1989. And, when I told my parents that eventually I wanted to become a professional tennis player or a professional actor, for immigrants who came here to make their son's life a success, who came here at the age of 50 with $300 in their pocket. For me to tell them that, you can imagine what their answers were to that. So I did not become a professional tennis player, nor did I become a professional actor. Instead, I went into IT, where the money and careers were. And I didn't like it, but I found a niche within IT that was interesting for me because it combined business along with information technology. And then I stuck within that and got out of corporate world immediately after basically about a year and started my first company, failed miserably because of September 11th and me being a rookie, but merged that with another company and then grew that company into a much larger enterprise, left them, started another company, and then grew that into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. And that's kind of the background, and I continued pursuing my spiritual studies, which we're going to talk upon shortly, but still not finding that purpose, still not living it, until last year I realized that I'm done with that part of my path. And I shocked everybody, including my family and my immediate loved ones, who thought I was nuts by throwing away a multi-million-dollar business to say that I'm going to be the psychic angel guy, and I'll write books and I'll talk to people and I'll help others. And I just went on that way. So that's my path up until last year, when I started on the journey of really defining who I am about. And then I spent about 6 months trying everything that I thought I was great at, and whittling that down until I, understood what I'm here to do, and now I'm helping others do the same.
Well, I get chills when you're speaking about about what you were doing in business and your entrepreneurship. And you're a visionary, businessman, visionary. But interestingly enough, I've lately, or in the past couple of years, there's been a lot more and more people in the same, kind of feeling, something, they get something and they leave. They leave that and they go for what they feel something's going on. They're starting to think differently. And, in the corporate world, it's real different. And you don't talk about psychics, but nowadays things are changing, or intuition and all that. They call it gut feeling, I guess. But I was wondering, what was it that actually shook you, or shook you out, or where you reflected upon it's time for you to go seek out what you're doing now, I guess.
No, it's a very interesting point, and last year was the height of my financial and business success, and I gave myself a brand new luxury car for my birthday as a present, and everything was going great from the financial side, and I just had that feeling more and more over the last number of years that I was just not fulfilled. I'm not living my purpose. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And all of these successes aside, that's just not really doing it for me. And I think what really kind of put me on that mode is, last year at the beginning, I had a chance to really decide if I wanted to be in corporate. And I worked with a client of mine who I've been at for a long time up until that time. And there was a position, and I could have been a director there, and I really put all of my emphasis into it. And it didn't work out, and then it started really getting bad in terms of politics and everything else that was going on. And I got to such point of frankly disgust, where I said, "Thank you, universe, for showing me that I put all of my effort into it, because this is what I thought that I was going to do and settle down and have a normal career, so to speak." And it failed flat. And I knew that there was another huge sign from the universe of, "You're done. This is not what you're supposed to be doing. You should be doing something else." And that's when I said, "Okay, I'm not renewing my contract, and I am out." And that's the last time that I kind of even looked in that direction.
I just think that's fantastic, because because of our how we're conditioned, and you're talking about, especially with you coming from the country, well, not this country, and like you said, your parents and what they would want for you would be the best, like you were doing, that you were actually being really a very mindfulness is a big thing right now, very mindful of what would be important and necessary in order for you to move forward. And a lot of people, do you feel that's true for you, being mindful? I mean, if you weren't self-aware, you could...
It's true about being mindful, and I think a lot of people, and myself included, humans are not conditioned to be unhappy. We're doing everything we can in order to be at some point of happiness, at some point of contentment, and that's where I was. I was content with the situation that I've been at. I was very happy with my successes. I kind of let my ego be stroked by all the wonderful things that were happening, and my parents were happy, and I achieved this and achieved that. And everything was, quote-unquote, American dream perfect. But, I never had that feeling let go of you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So it was just, at some point, you have to get out of this content state, because you see people in it all the time. And until you get out of that cycle, and until you say, no, I actually can do what I'm supposed to be doing and be happy and be fulfilled and be successful, and have, let's not call it acceptance, because some people will never accept it, but acceptance to a certain degree from the mainstream. And all of that is okay. So once you get out of that and you start meeting people who are doing that and who are living their essence, as I call it, then you really start getting inspired and you start flying. And I just needed to extract myself away from that feeling of contentment to allow myself to actually do something.
Yes. Well, it's like, I always think of it as we are colored by our environment, especially the people that we're around. So it's almost like being caught between the old way of life and the new possibilities, I think, is a gift. And then a new journey begins, or in your case, a shift in the journey that you're on, and helping people now and find one's true authentic self, or life purpose, and that's uniquely theirs individually. So Allan, you are. I know that I read what I read about you, which you're incredible. I'm remarkable. I really respect you. You write. You're a writer, but not only a writer in the sense that I know you have a book out, but poetry. Is that true? Yes.
That is correct. Yes.
And an actor as well. But I was reading something about you used your poetry in one of the ways is how to connect with finding ways of making your life, for people. Can you tell us more about that? Like for you anyway, that was like part of your journey, in poetry to be able to,
Yeah, absolutely. Poetry, I started writing in a very early age. My father is a fabulous poet, and unfortunately he doesn't write anything in English. All of his poetry is in Russian, but he's a fabulous, fabulous poet, and he was the one who truly inspired me. And looking at him and reading his, writings and seeing him, speak at different events, really inspired me to start writing. So I think I began writing at 7. That's when my first poems came out, so to speak. And what I noticed as I wrote was a lot of my poetry was channeled, and not maybe the entire pieces of poetry, but lots of aspects of it. Or I would get into a state and I would write down 4 or 5 stanzas immediately, and then I would figure out what's happening after that. It's kind of a process that I went through. So all through my life, poetry has been a constant guide because I've been able to receive that information. Before I knew anything about psychic abilities or channeling or anything else, I knew that information was just coming. And I learned about the law of attraction by knowing that I thought about this and then it happened. And I wanted that and then it happened. So I started really applying all of those principles without knowing much about it. I just knew that they were true and they were happening. So poetry was very important. And what I find with the poetry and what I find with the people that read it is poetry is not something that people would just pick up and start reading. Some people love it, but we can all say that probably 99% of the people, that's not what they would prefer to read. And the interesting phenomena that I've seen once the book came out is those people that start reading it love it, and then they start recommending it to others because it's very accessible poetry. It's all rhyming, and it's very easy to read, and none of the poetry is abstract. Now, I have other, whole sets of poetry that is abstract and looking kind of towards the normal definition of poetic expression. But this is very accessible. It's me telling story of my life and my observations and what I was going through in a poetic form, and everybody can relate to that. So this book is a collection of 100 of my 250 poems or whatever I have at the moment that just talks about the journey from high school time up until probably a couple of weeks before the book came out, because that's when the last poem that I put in there was written. And it's been a journey of love and an experience to allow people to look at my life and be inspired by the events in theirs, and to go back and to look at information from a different perspective.
I love that because, well, for me, actually, I wanted to ask you this first. You said Doreen Virtue, you are an angel practitioner. That's what the correct.
Yes. So I'm not an ATP, although I am studying that course right now.
Right.
I'm actually studying with Lisa Williams' Advanced Mediumship course. That's where I just came back from. Today was a very exciting day.
Oh, how cool!
Yeah, Lisa is amazing. I love Lisa. I can't say any more love than I could on the radio. And I did, I think, my first course that I took in terms of certification once I actually decided to leave my phase of that life with the IT, is I took Doreen's certification course on angel oracle cards. And that became kind of my first foray into it. And I took intuition courses long before, and I took channeling, and I took other things. But in terms of the recent stuff, it was Doreen's course that was the beginning of it.
It feels like when you were talking about your poetry, though, it's almost like that's a course in itself for you. You're in developing your intuition.
Yeah. It certainly has been for me, and I've heard from quite a few people that this book is making them laugh, it's making them cry, it's making them remember the moments and take a look at their life in a different way based on the information that they read. I've even heard from somebody that they're using this book as an oracle method of they're thinking of a question, then they open up the book to a certain page and there's the answer for you. And that's it's fascinating to me, but it's true, because a lot of that information was channeled. A lot of information really comes from the heart chakra. So it's something that can help people, and that's why I call the book Inspirer, because it inspired me to write, and I wish for it to inspire others.
So that's fantastic. For me, with the tarot, which I did not plan to be doing this work 25 years ago, but I was drawing pictures of what I saw. I didn't look at the books or read what the interpretations were. So for me, I wasn't an artist, but for me, it was like a connection. For you, it just seems like the poetry, it was my connection as well to drawing, to understand that I didn't go to classes or anything, but yeah, I haven't read your book, and it's called Inspire, and I am looking forward to it. By the way, everybody. So, but Allan,
Thank you.
you developed a philosophy and a system to help others on their own journeys. Can you share with us something what that's about?
Yeah, of course. And again, another channeled message. I was thinking of how can I properly explain this to people? How can I make it visual? Because when you talk to people about their soul purpose or their life purpose or their essence, I start rolling and people start thinking, well, I'm doing fine. Thank you. Move on. So I know that lots of people are in that state of contentment, or they're in a state of, this is not working for me. I need to find a solution to this. And I have different clients that come from different backgrounds, of course, but what I did is the name Recalibrate Your Life came to mind, which resonated very much with me because the whole point was I recalibrated my life from the perspective of, changing my first name to going through all of these things, to removing the blockages, to working with the past lives, to working with the energies, and all kinds of processes. And then obviously it culminated with me actually quitting IT and going into my real profession and what I should be doing in life. It's recalibration. It's changing the vibrational state and removing everything that's been there. So Recalibrate Your Life came about that way from one of my guides. And then they gave me another idea of something that's called the essence spectrum. And when I say the word essence, to me, essence is your core, your soul. That's your essence. That's really what you are about. So how did I, attempt to visually tell people where they are at their lives? And that's where Essence Spectrum came in. So imagine a flower, and I use lotus flower because I love it. Imagine a core. So the center of that flower, that's your core. That's your essence. So if you could describe, or a client of mine could describe themselves in 2 or 3 words, what are they? What are they truly all about? And this is what they're trying to find. So, if I have everybody draw up that essence spectrum, so you can think of it in terms of a target if flower is too difficult to draw, but, in that center, put in what you're really about, and then around that you have the first ring that's closest to the center. So those are the expressions of who you are. So in my case, I'm a spiritual teacher, and expressions of that are closest to the center would be me being a radio talk show host, me being an author, me being a speaker, me being a life purpose coach, trying to help others with that. These are the closest things. And then going out to the second circle and then the third circle. And once you get the further out from the center you go, you get to the things that you do or that are your talents, but they're not representation of what you really are about. And then I have people write up a different list of activities that they did for the past month, and not including brushing your teeth and putting kids to bed, but things that they do in terms of work, in terms of working out, in terms of hobbies and things. And then I have them see if there is a cross-reference between the two. And what they usually find is that there is a direct proportion between their level of fulfillment in life and how close they are to the center. So a lot of the activities we find, 90 to 95% of the activities, are really farthest away from it. They're in that fourth ring. So for me, there was information technology. So you spend most of your time doing things that are least fulfilling to you, and that's why you feel that there is something missing in life. So we started really going through those exercises and having people go there so they can visually see. It's not me telling them what's going on. It's they are looking at their life from a different perspective to see, yeah, something is missing in this picture, and I should be doing this. And then the next question is, how do you get from that to the actual goal of living your essence? And that's what the practice is about.
It's like a mission, elaborate, to me, mission statement, in business. Mm-hmm. But in my mission statement has always been about what we're talking about, because my business is just that, but
Hmm.
it's kind of like, is that, yeah, kind of like that. But so people can actually, because with the conditionings, like I said, apartment, I live down by the beach. I've got these loud Harleys. The so people, this isn't a quick thing for people. I know that a lot of people, I want to find my purpose or my true essence, and because it's really cool, or it's a trend or whatever,
Hmm.
and that's not the case. This is something that can be very, very draining, actually, can't it? I mean, um, intense for people to be up for
Yeah,
the challenge.
in it's intense because it makes people really look at their life, and how many people really want to do that. When you're making the change, or when people are getting on track with their own lives, they're a reflection onto others. So when others are looking in that mirror and seeing themselves in it, and they see that they're not doing it, then they become very unhappy. Let's put it that way, and oftentimes militant towards the person that's making the change. So looking at yourself in the mirror is a hard thing to do objectively, and that's what we're asking people to do. And then the rest is actually going through and doing things and finding that sole purpose. And I use a consensus approach. It's obviously talking to the people and doing these exercises, and then looking to the spiritual side. And I'm using my abilities as a medium, as a psychic, as an intuitive, an angel communicator, to look and get answers from the other side, and then we get the consensus. And then I also bring in numerology, and now I'm studying Gene Hayner's face reading. So I'm bringing another aspect to it because I want to get a consensus of why are you really here, and can we fine-tune that, and then can we build a bridge from where you are right now to you being aligned with your soul purpose, and then how to live once you're there, because that takes a while, and you've hit the nail on the head. It is a process that's going to take a while. For some people who already know what they're here to do, and they just need specific tools of, well, I am in marketing and I should be in IT, and I love this stuff. I have no idea how to transition. I'm making very good money. I have kids to feed. I'm not going to go back and start from the bottom. Get it. This is where my business brain comes in, and this is where I help people find that transition. This is where I'm actually starting to work with corporations to get people realigned.
I was just going to ask you that. I was just going to ask you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I was going to ask you about that.
Mhm.
That's fantastic, because now, see, this is what what my view is of what the big, the Mayans weren't going to let us off the hook. That we were not going to be done for. We have a lot, we have lots yet to learn. I feel it's just the beginning. So, what I was going to ask you before you just brought it up was about you're
Mhm.
educating in the corporate world, where that's going to make a big difference.
Yeah,
Big.
all it takes is a forward-looking corporation who actually allows their people to make that change. And the benefits are incredible because it is a real win-win situation. You have people who are dedicated, who want to make a difference, who already know about the company, they know the culture, they know the business. They're just in a wrong career. And to allow those people to change into a proper path is going to be increase in loyalty, increase in productivity. You don't have to hire new people who don't know anything about your business. So it helps the business staying even more productive, helps the people. Also, there are different ways that can be done in terms of salaries and other things that everybody's going to be happy with. It is a huge win-win. So working with the corporations who are actually understanding that and knowing that just because a person has been in that career for 10 or 15 years does not mean that that's where they should be, and are allowing them the opportunity to do something that they're better suited for. Those are the companies of the future that are going to succeed.
Yeah, again, Carl Jung. Like I said, I'm very, my relationship with him for many years, union, everything union, and he's put it one time, if everybody did the work, meaning
Hmm.
your purpose, we'd all be much happier. Yeah, I don't know if he
Yeah,
exactly said it,
that's true.
because but we all feel, oh, the corporate executive, you must, for like your story, that's the way to
Hmm.
go, and your parents are proud, and maybe the corporate executive shouldn't be doing it. Maybe feel better doing, running a coffee shop, some, or whatever.
Hmm.
Well, that wouldn't be so bad. But so you're really a direct reflection of that, and you also having your business background. I'm seeing a lot of great things that you're going to be a part of, that I feel will really bring a lot of collectiveness to some corporate, all of us coming back together, or as we should be.
Yeah, and it's not just me; it's all of us, because there are many light workers out there, and there are many people that need their help. So we all need to continue to work and spread that message and allow people to align with their soul purpose. Because the more people are aligned, the healthier our society is going to be, less violence we're going to have, more happiness, and the whole vibratory state of the universe changes. I know I'm talking big picture, but that's in reality.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Collectively, we all, and by you having the background that you have, and Lisa Williams. Well, look, come on, let's face it. Everybody knows who's Lisa Williams, and you speak very highly of her. And I remember we had a little chat about that. Right there, it's not about because you know her and everything, but you're working with her with, moving forward and helping people, and everybody collectively coming together. I think it's just fantastic, and also from what I understand, you're just now. I mean, there's a lot more that you're expanding on. Whatever your one book, but also you have other things in the making. Isn't that true? That.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but yes, you're right. I have other books. My next book that's coming out is Respect Yourself, which are, it's a pocket book. It's a book that I'm hoping people will take on an airplane, and by the time they're landing, they're done, and they can start applying these principles of how you can actually break through these barriers and start respecting yourself. And it deals with respecting your past, your present, your body, your time, lots of different aspects. And then we have a big book that's going to come out after that, which is Recalibrate Your Life, which is based on my practice and how we've helped people make incredible changes in their lives. So it is a long process, but the nice thing about the process is you see immediate results. I have people that take one session and take a look at the testimonials. The testimonials are incredible, and these are people who are starting to work with me, and it hasn't been that long, but they see results, and they get that difference, and they feel that they actually have a path that they can pursue. And it's a huge, huge, benefit for me, because I get a chance to help somebody, make their life better. And there's no better thing that I can think of to do in life.
Yeah, I agree. So, Allan, do you? You said something about sessions. Do you? I know you offer your medium. I don't know what wording you like to use, but
yeah, that's the thing. You're right. We all have to kind of put labels on things, and at this point, I have no idea who I am, and it's all mediumship. If you're speaking to the spirit, and it doesn't have to be deceased to be considered mediumship, right. Because if you're speaking to spirit, it is mediumship versus psychic versus angel. To me, it doesn't matter. I'm speaking to the other side. I'm an intuitive, and information flows in different ways.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Well, now, so do you work because? I love the name Recalibrate, and like the topic on this show is called defining. Kind of took it from yours, but I just we're going to take a quick commercial break because I want to wait to come back to ask you. We'll be back in about a minute, so if you can just hold on, everybody, we'll be right back.
A new era in psychic services has begun. PsychicAccess.com. You can connect with our psychic advisors by telephone or chat 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All of our psychic advisors are interviewed, fully verified, and accuracy tested, assuring you quality service. We're living in some very troubled times right now. More and more, the world's problems are affecting us on a personal level. You don't have to deal with this alone. Our highly accurate psychics, caring advisors, and talented mediums can help with situations you are currently experiencing and can let you know what the future may hold for you. All new customers get a free 6-minute reading. All you have to do is register. Why not visit us now and get a free reading at PsychicAccess.com.
And we're back with Allan, and we're talking about all sorts of wonderful things, I feel. Allan, I wanted to ask you about the sessions. And if a person wants a session, do you call it a reading? Do you call it?
Yeah. So I separated them into excuse me, two categories. If they want a life purpose session, and this is the life purpose coaching, then they can go to recalibrateyourlife.com and go to the store and purchase sessions there. If they want a intuitive reading, which is mediumship, psychic, all of the other things, they can go to allanvaysberg.com and purchase it from there.
So, do you do these in person and or both on, live?
Yeah. I find
internet.
that I do most of them on the phone because people that call me are calling from all over the country. So usually it's on the phone. Those can certainly be done in Skype. I have done sessions in person. So either way is fine. Yeah, for those people in the Chicagoland area, happy to stop by my office and do it there in Schaumburg.
Right. I have a host here named Steve, and he wanted to ask you a question. Go on, Steve.
Yeah, hi, Steve.
Yes, hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Good. I'm also a big fan of Lisa Williams. She's wonderful.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you which tool or process you use for helping a person to determine their life purpose.
Yeah, very good question. So again, I use the consensus approach. So I try to do, in addition to talking to people, I'm assuming your question is more on the spiritual side. So I use divination cards or oracle cards. I use Lisa's, and then I use some other ones from, oh my God, her name escapes me. So I have Colette Baron Reed's cards. I have some other cards from Sonia Choquette. So I use cards and I get that perspective. Then I use numerology and I get that perspective. And then I use my intuitive abilities from the mediumship, talking to their guides and getting that perspective. So we're taking those three plus what we get from talking to the people themselves and them going through exercises and discussions, and then we come to a consensus that way.
That sounds great. I really like the combination of intuitive insight or insight from spirit and numerology. I think numerology is just incredible. And we often have discussions about how the different metaphysical systems are correlated, so how the numbers in numerology correlate with planets or signs of the zodiac in astrology and the tarot cards, etc. So it's all interwoven. I think the more tools we use, the more we get confirmation of our questions, and particularly when we're looking at purpose, they're really powerful techniques.
Yeah, and that's perfectly describes what we're doing, because ego tends to get involved not from the perspective of, oh, I know what this is about, but you just want to, or at least I, when we're talking about a person's life purpose, to me it is a big thing because we're building all sorts of roads from there on. So we really need to come to a consensus, and that's why I use these different tools to make sure that if the ego got involved, or if I'm contacting, another spirit that has a different idea, we're kind of putting that all aside. And once we get the consensus, great, let's go from there.
Excellent. Well, sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And I'm a big fan of Lisa, and the reason why, and this is very important for me to share, there are many mediums out there. There are great mediums. John Edward is one of them. I'm looking at his book right now. It's not just Lisa's mediumship ability, which is great, and I've witnessed it 3 times in person, so I know how good she is. But it's the fact that she is extremely approachable. She is all heart. After speaking to people, after being up on stage and doing a platform reading, she's there to hug everybody and to talk to everybody and to take the photo. She really tries not to have any ego. And that's something that was very important for me, because I don't want somebody on a pedestal. I want a real person with real abilities, and that's why I love Lisa.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Steve. It's great because Steve and you actually, Allan, have some things in common. He left the if you don't mind me telling him, Steve left the corporate world, I guess 3 years ago, something like that. Steve, and
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Steve.
Hooray. But actually now, it's interesting though, because you guys mentioned earlier on the corporate world, and I'm finding that about 60% of my metaphysical work now is in the corporate world. There's a
Mm-hmm.
huge demand for metaphysical insights in business and all kinds of different organizations. It's exciting to see that shift.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, before they would only invite mediums and psychics to the boardroom when they were having negotiations with somebody else, and you would have two mediums kind of squaring off against each other, trying to get the company's secrets and who's holding on to what. It was fun. I haven't been experienced to that, but I know that my mentors and older mediums and psychics that I work with tell me about this all the time.
Yeah, or they're laughed off, like just laughed off as being whatever. But that's what I was saying earlier. It's great because I feel that there's a lot, just from my own personal experience, there's a lot of people, and I came from a family, wealthy family. My father is an entrepreneur, and it's fascinating, when he's got older and everything, how really he was very spiritually, I'm not talking about religion, but how he was very enlightened. But when I was growing, I didn't see that. No.
Mm-hmm.
But and I feel that, like all of us, like you said, I'll have something. But like Steve on the host here, and you being in a corporate, and I feel that that's going to really that's the beginning of everything now. I feel a lot.
It's true, and again, for those listeners that are hearing us talk, we're certainly not bashing corporate. All we're saying, and I'll speak for myself in this case, all I'm saying is that we all have life paths. We all have things that we are meant to do. If you are meant to be a doctor or a lawyer or a wonderful engineer, bless you, and that's your path. It wasn't mine, and I got out of that, and I'm very happy now. But we're helping people, whatever their path is, to make sure that they align with it.
Exactly. And Allan, perhaps maybe that was what it was supposed to be for you, though, too.
Oh yeah, yeah. That experience was very, very important. I agree.
Perhaps it was necessary in order to where you are as of now, and so I wanted to ask you: have you done? Do you do workshops or big lectures, workshops in front of, where you talk about how people can? It's okay or feel comfortable about. Okay, it's okay to look at my life, maybe recalibrate it, and so on. Do you?
We're starting to. I've been so busy with kind of launching books and radio and everything else that we're finally starting to have these workshops coming around. So I would say stay tuned, and we're going to have things posted around the fall timeframe. We're going to have 2-hour workshops, and then we're going to have whole weekend workshops that are going to come up.
That's fantastic. And I just feel I could be wrong. You had a lot of support from your family, your wife, and people that were very close to you when you chose this direction, your path. Correct?
My wife, as shocked as she is my biggest fan, and she is the most supportive. And I could not have done it without her. It would have been very, very difficult because you cannot have somebody who is this woo-woo, so to speak, in the family without a support system. So, God bless my wife. Thanks for putting up with everything as I was going through my transition.
No, I think it's very important because a lot of times people don't have that when they're recalibrating or they want to redefine or do some or they're getting that they need to look at or be self-aware, and they don't have the support system. And that's
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's why you're here, and that's why I'm here, and that's why we have our radio programs, and we have our workshops, and we have our books, and we have Facebook. God bless Facebook for that. I've met so many people. It's our ability to be in touch with people that are of like mind and communicate and be that shoulder to cry on and be that support. I've needed it. I'm psychic, and I've needed it very much. And I have people that I go to when I am in doubt, and I need their support. So it's very, very important, but that's why we're here.
Yeah, and it's great this time period. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case 25 years ago, but that's over. That's in the past. But, I wanted to ask you, in fact, is my understanding, I don't want to be wrong, is it August 1st that you are going syndication on the radio show?
Yeah, it's very exciting. I've been blessed. Again, I was on Angel Whisper Psychic Network for about 6 months, and then I've been moved into the One Two family. So I'm on One Two Radio, and that's a beautiful, beautiful company, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. And syndication is just a step that came out very recently. So starting August 1st, you are correct. My show will be syndicated worldwide through Law of Attraction Radio Network. And that's very, very exciting because looking at the numbers, that means that up to 1.6 million people will be able to listen to my programs as well as others and be inspired, have a chance to change their life. And that's what it's really about. It's not about fame and fortune. That comes with it, hopefully. I'm still not at that point. But it's about reaching the people, and it's about being that shoulder. It's about giving them the message of, yes, you can make that change. Look at what we have done. Look at others. There are ways for you to make your life better in any circumstance that you're in right now. And I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, congratulations. I mean, that's a real, I mean, in a short period. Well, you said it last year. Was it last year? You said.
Oh yeah, but I started the radio show. Actually, started January 17th, so it has been basically about 7 months.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
What's your secret?
But it shows you, it shows you when you're doing your life purpose work, the universe supports you completely, and then you just fly.
You're right. That's absolutely true. The universe is on your side on that, absolutely. So, Allan, do you your book Inspire? I wanted to touch base on that. What can people, if and also we have that listed on your guest page, as a matter of fact, it's on Amazon. But if a person, what type of person would benefit to when they buy this book, is someone that's kind of like that's really cool stuff, and so in this book, could it really help people even without going to get a session with you? It has a lot of good ways to help people get on the way.
No, it's a very nice and poignant question, and looking at the demographics of the people that are buying it. I would, not to sound like the author who wants to sell books, which obviously is true, but I am seeing that even children. My daughter is almost 9 years old, and by the way, be careful when you're buying this or reading this book to kids because this is starting from high school. So out of 100, there are 2 poems that do have swear words in them, and I left them there for a reason because they're very important to that part of my life. But even children, I had, my daughter loves this book, and she finds something in it that she loves in terms of poetry because it speaks to her. My daughter's friend came to me recently, who's also the same age, and she said, "Can I get a book?" So I'm getting from children to, people who are in their 70s and 80s that are in my parents' age who like this book for their reasons. So I haven't been able to find a demographic that really doesn't like it. My only thought is, there are things in that book that will touch you regardless of who you are or where you're coming from. It may make you laugh, it may make you cry, it may make you reminisce about the times that you've had before or look at your life differently. So my suggestion is, there are all formats of the book. Check it out. See what you think.
So it's a very user-friendly. It's not what
Very,
some books people get out there about. Go ahead, find your essence. And it's just like I'm not saying this about any particular author, but sometimes it's very difficult to read, or for someone that's not savvy to the the metaphysics of life. Yours is not like that. It's
no, not at all.
I like that.
It's not a book that's going to talk about highly esoteric concepts and very non-descriptive terms. It is a book about life, and it's me talking about my experiences as I was infatuated with girls in high school, or finding true love with my wife, or talking about my friends, or looking up at the universe and searching for truths and searching for answers in the times when I found it tough to. Information that was channeled to talking about, angel card reading. It really is a very eclectic, combination of things that really appeal to everyone. So not everyone is going to enjoy every portion of the book, but everyone is going to find something in it that they will deem very important to them.
It's kind of like you did some timelines with your life throughout your life. I
Yeah.
mean, up to now. I like that, and that's fantastic. Do you often go to? I think yeah. You said you came back from Europe. Is
Yes.
that you do some of your work in the UK as well?
Haven't had an opportunity to do so. I just came back from Europe recently because we were taking a trip with family. We wanted to
Mm.
see the Baltic countries, and we had a wonderful time. But I've noticed that people are buying my book in the UK. People are buying my book in France, and as people are calling me from Singapore for lessons or coaching sessions. So it definitely is expanding, and I'm certainly looking forward to going overseas and teaching because people are people. We all have same questions. We're just coming from different social backgrounds and have different circumstances, but the questions are the same, and the answers usually are the same as well.
Yes, and also, shoot, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, jeez. Okay, I had something. You know what? It's my age. That's my sole purpose to find my memory, my short-term memory. I had a question about. Well, shoot, I'll get to that later. Uh,
Well, while
so
you're looking for your question, I guess then I'll take a few minutes, and I wanted to
go
tell a
for it.
story. Do I have a few
Yeah,
moments to tell one?
absolutely. You have time. Yes.
What I wanted to share with everybody is that idea of the universe completely supporting you, and you cannot grow unless you step over that fear. You cannot grow unless you get out of your comfort zone. Today, I found myself just in that situation, and we're not going to say that word on the radio, but I was scared. Fill in the blank after that. Where we were sitting in a circle. There are 28 mediums, and this is advanced mediumship class with Lisa Williams. And Lisa puts a blindfold on, and she brings in a spirit from somebody who's inside there in the circle, and she does a beautiful 15-minute reading, which is right on. And then she says, "Okay, who wants to go next?" And everybody in the class is sitting there thinking, right, I'm going to go right after Lisa. I'm going to go with everybody looking at me with the camera rolling at that time. And there is a sinking feeling in my stomach saying, she's about to pick me. And Lisa turns to me and says, "Thank you, Allan. We're going to pick you." And I'm thinking, great. Mediumship readings, this is not something that I do very often because I'm usually more in other things, and I speak to the angel around, whatever. And I'm schwitzing, and everybody's like, "You can do it." And I said, "Well, angels, thank you. You put me in this position. Now bring somebody." And I got a name right away. I got the woman, I had her child, and I had all this other information that I started spitting out. And it was an incredible session. So I put myself, or my guides put me in a situation that was extremely potentially stressful. It was basically doing a platform reading blindfolded. And I did it. I had no idea if I could do it. I was scared that I couldn't do it, but you have to break through that barrier. And now I am a different man because of it. And it changed me completely, and it allowed that space to grow. The universe supports you. So if you're in a position where you're afraid of something and you know that you should do it because it's for your own growth, do it. They'll be there to support you.
Be fearless. Did that just happen today, you said?
That's happened today. That's why I said,
Oh, wow.
I was driving back. I'm thinking, oh my God, I did 6 readings today just in class.
No,
Murder
that's fantastic.
investigation. It's just amazing.
That's fantastic. I really appreciate you sharing that because that's really I can identify with what you're saying, and it is about being fearless, and that's where you have to put false ego aside in order to do that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, Allan, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you joining us this evening. I really enjoyed talking to you and listening about you, and so many great things you're doing and heading towards and helping, and all of us collectively, of course. And I hope I'll maybe chat with you again. So, and August 1st is a national holiday. It's my birthday. National holiday also so I'll remember that. So, Allan, thank you so much, and have a great night.
Thank you so much. Now I need to calm myself down and relax. So thank you for having me on. Thanks for everybody for listening, and do everything that comes from the place of love.
Exactly. Thank you, Allan. Good night.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Hello, my name is Rez Miranda. If you're having relationship, career, or life issues, I'm inviting you to experience what it's like to have access to professional, highly accurate psychics and spiritual advisors you can trust to care and help you. Register now to get your free 6-minute reading by telephone or chat. Get answers, get access, psychic access, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. PsychicAccess.com.
And I really put all of my emphasis into it, and it didn't work out. And then it started really getting bad in terms of politics and everything else that was going on. And I got to such point of frankly disgust, where I said, "Thank you, universe, for showing me that I put all of my effort into it, because this is what I thought that I was going to do and settle down and have a normal career, so to speak." And it failed flat. And I knew that there was another huge sign from the universe of, you're done. This is not what you're supposed to be doing. You should be doing something else. And that's when I said, okay, I am not renewing my contract, and I am out. And that's the last time that I kind of even looked in that direction.
I just think that's fantastic, because, because of our, how we're conditioned, and you're talking about, especially with you coming from the, country, well, not this country, and like you said, your parents and what they would want for you would be the best, like you were doing, that you were actually being mindfulness is a big thing right now, very mindful of what would be important and necessary in order for you to move forward. And a lot of people, do you feel that's true for you, being mindful? I mean, if you weren't self-aware, you could...
It's true about being mindful, and I think a lot of people, and myself included,
a lot more and more people in the same, kind of feeling, something, they get something and they leave that, and they go for what they feel something's going on. They're starting to think differently, and in the corporate world it's real different, and talk about psychics, but nowadays things are changing, or intuition and all that. They call it gut feeling, I guess. But I was wondering, what was it that actually shook you, or shook you out, or where you reflected upon it's time for you to go seek out what you're doing now, I guess?
No, it's a very interesting point, and last year was the height of my financial and business success, and I gave myself a brand new luxury car for my birthday as a present, and everything was going great from the financial side, and I just had that feeling more and more over the last number of years, that I was just not fulfilled. I'm not living my purpose. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And all of these successes aside, that's just not really doing it for me. And I think what really kind of put me on that mode is, last year at the beginning, I had a chance to really decide if I wanted to be in corporate. And I worked with a client of mine who I've been at for a long time, up until that time. And there was a position, and I could have been a director there. And as a matter of fact, we're on a psychic show, so a psychic, when I was young, predicted that I would be a great man. I had no idea what that meant. She just looked at my photo and said, "This is going to be a great man." And knowing that on my own, and then hearing that from somebody else, really confused me, because, well, what am I going to be great at? So maybe I'm going to be a great tennis player, which is the sport that I love the most. Maybe I'll be a great actor, which is something that I love doing. And I did both of those. Then we moved to the United States at the age of 14 in 1989. And, when I told my parents that eventually I wanted to become a professional tennis player or a professional actor, for immigrants who came here to make their son's life a success, who came here at the age of 50 with $300 in their pocket. For me to tell them that, you can imagine what their answers were to that. So I did not become a professional tennis player, nor did I become a professional actor. Instead, I went into IT, where the money and careers were. And I didn't like it, but I found a niche within IT that was interesting for me because it combined business along with information technology. And then I stuck within that and got out of corporate world immediately after basically about a year and started my first company, failed miserably.
Allan is a successful entrepreneur who, within the IT consulting industry, built several multi-million-dollar businesses. And although he was living the, quote, American dream, deep inside he knew something needed to be changed. Something needed to change because he felt unfulfilled. Allan discovered that in order to live a fulfilled life, he needed to pursue his soul's purpose. So by taking charge of his destiny and following his dreams, Allan felt complete. And today he inspires individuals to live their essence and assists them to recalibrate their lives. Hello, Allan. How are you?
I am doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, I've been looking forward to this show with you, very much so. There's a quote. It reminds me of what you're all about, and I love Jung and everything, Carl Jung. And it's the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. So,
Yes.
with that said, can you can you tell us a little bit about your background and who you are? And
Sure. Yeah, it's Carl Jung probably added that it's a never-ending, never-ending passion to try to figure out who you really are and work with it. But we all have inklings, and since I was a child, I had an inkling that I was here to do something different, and I didn't know exactly what that was, but I felt that I was supposed to be working with people. I was supposed to be a leader of some kind, and I knew that I would be up on stage. I knew I would be in awe because of September 11th and me being a rookie, but merged that with another company and then grew that company into a much larger enterprise, left them, started another company, and then grew that into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. And that's kind of the background, and I continued pursuing my spiritual studies, which we're going to talk about shortly, but still not finding that purpose, still not living it, until last year I realized that I'm done with that part of my path. And I shocked everybody, including my family and my immediate loved ones, who thought I was nuts by throwing away a multi-million-dollar business to say that I'm going to be the psychic angel guy, and I'll write books and I'll talk to people and I'll help others. And I just went on that way. So that's my path up until last year, when I started on the journey of really defining who I am about. And then I spent about 6 months trying everything that I thought I was great at, and whittling that down until I understood what I'm here to do, and now I'm helping others do the same.
Well, I get chills when you're speaking about about what you were doing in business and your entrepreneurship. And you're a visionary, businessman, visionary. But interestingly enough, I've lately, or in the past couple of years, there's been a lot